Destiny presents opportunities, but the choices that you make define your destiny. And the learning is far more deep from your mistakes.
कि यार why I'm giving time to someone, मुझे क्या मिलेगा?
Your network is your net worth.
No. Always give, you will get.
You'll get that is how you build relationships.
Leader are born or leader can be created? It's a very cliche question, but hey everyone, thank you so much again for tuning in. I don't know how I introduce today's guest because ideally he is one of my college friend father who I don't meet that often. He been a IT industry stalwart, took companies to IPOs. So as I mentioned on NIT Tech, and the moment NIT comes into mind, there's only one or probably two, three people who comes in mind. One of them is definitely Mr. Arvind Thakur. So I'll play easy and ask you to introduce yourself. And thank you so much for coming over, sir. Thank you. Really, really appreciate and pleasure to always interact with you.
Well, thanks, Saurabh. Thanks for this very, I would say, generous,
Real,
generous introduction.
real. I mean, in fact, I'm feeling that how I introduce you with so much of milestones and people we have lived and been aspiring from last 20 years.
Well, I think I've had the privilege of being part of a generation and an industry which has seen the perception of the nation change from being a country of snake charmers to a large economy which is an IT powerhouse. So I'm really pleased to be here with you, Saurabh, to talk through my experiences, learnings, and hopefully through this conversation provide some insight to young people, who listen to your podcast.
So just for your background, and I know you are a very prepared and very thorough guy. So I mean, the way this idea started is like, I firmly believe that every company be a media company. Founders or management should have their personal brand, and if they can be authentic, they can be real, and they can bring guests or content which is creating value, you will be relevant. Otherwise, either you'll be earning for Google's, or either you'll be earning for Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, or the distribution is very very important. And one way to create distribution is probably do those dance and reels which I can't do. I have two left feet, right? So I thought, okay, probably I can interact with people genuinely, and then fortunate enough for having a network connects wherein you guys are gracious enough to come and spend time, right? So on that note, what when did you start? Many of people are aware of your journey, and I mean, we are again had a opportunity and fortunate enough to run your journey. But for our audience, which is students, parents, education partners, universities, investors, and then general entrepreneurs and professionals. This is what our audience is, and they're not Indians; they are global. They are people who are in India studying abroad but want to come back and build their probably NIT techs. There are people who want to get their first job. In fact, I remember that I have interviewed at NIT Tech and didn't get through. In that 126. So there are people who want to learn that how to work with or under the management of people like Arvind Thakur. So with that diverse set of audience, right? Where to start with? Should we start with invented or I would say founded NIT, or you've been ITN, right? Is it because you've been ITN and that's where you figure out? Why don't we start your journey? Like you're 40
Okay.
years young. And your age is 40 years.
I'm ancient. My son is 40, so you can imagine what my age is.
Ankur and you look same now. Ankur, sorry.
Well, I've got more hair on my head than he has. So,
Ankur, sorry. Yeah.
yeah, but Saurabh, I mean, I passed out of IIT Kharagpur. I was fortunate to, pursue a career in engineering, and then I did post graduation in another fine institute called NIIT in Mumbai, where I did industrial engineering. And NIIT, in fact, just I think 2 years ago, through an act of parliament, is now renamed as IIM Mumbai. So it's
Oh,
now
I
Indian
didn't know
Institute of
that.
Management, Mumbai. And from the campus, I was recruited into one of the finest public sectors in the country, which is the Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. So I joined the organization as an industrial engineer, and it was a period of great learning because BHEL had some of the most modern mainframe computer systems. And so I got the opportunity to work on technology of those days, and gained a lot of understanding and experience around systems. And I think it was a great organization.
And when was this? Which year was this?
This was in 78.
So not even industrially, like India didn't get liberalized.
Oh yeah,
That
much
was,
before that.
yeah.
Much
So
before that.
and
And
we
I
were,
think it was a happy place, great organization, lot of learning, uh, at a princely salary of 1,500 rupees a month, which was a good amount of money, in those days. And I remember my future father-in-law. He came to meet me in my office because he wanted to just make sure I was the right person for his daughter. And he felt pretty happy about the fact that, this is a great organization. It's a public sector organization. So his daughter's future is fairly secure. But then I wanted to move out of my zone of comfort. I'd learned a lot.
and why so?
Well, one was young, I think 25, 26 at that time. There's an opportunity to explore many more things. And having learned and understood things about computers with encouragement from my supervising manager, who said, let's form a company and do data processing business. So some of us left the
And
computer
this was
center in
in
BHEL.
1990,
This was 82.
82. Okay. So you were at Bhel for like good 5, 6
Good
years.
5 years, a lot of learning over there. And so we formed this company to provide data processing services. And as you said, this was pre-liberalization. This was a time when a license Raj was quite prevalent. And what we found was that, of course, again, great learning as you would have experienced yourself, by starting your own company where you have to roll up your sleeves and do everything yourselves. And you learn absolutely everything about the business when you have your own startup, right? But the environment was such that the bureaucracy and bureaucratic hassles in getting a license to import a computer center to start our business was taking an inordinate amount of time. So much so that by the time our approval started coming, the model that we had ordered started becoming obsolete.
Outdated.
And it was a chance meeting which I had with the founders of NIIT. They just started NIIT. And I was sharing my experience with Rajendra Pawar, who's the founder. And he said, Arvind, forget your troubles. Why don't you join with me? And, let's build a great business around computer education. So that's how I got into, along with the other founders of NIIT in 1985. And then I've been with the organization and the journey
It's
that
a,
we've
it's a,
had together with
it's a,
them
it's a 40 years young organization.
since 85. Yeah.
I just got born when you started. So I have so much to learn from you. Mm. So Mr. Pawar and other co-founder
Kadani.
Adani. So at time, so me and Mayank started University Living, right? And then of course, we have a founding team members who are with us for like almost 9 years now. Then we have leadership team, we have management team. If someone come and ask me, whether you want to start again or you want to join Elon Musk, I will join. I want to join Elon Musk. And my reason is that how I can be part of a bigger ecosystem and a bigger opportunity versus to reinvent the wheel. What's your view on this?
No, it's your personal choice and the opportunities that come your way. All right, I firmly believe that destiny presents opportunities, like the chance meeting with Pawar.
So you believe in destiny?
Destiny presents opportunities, but the choices that you make define your destiny.
Okay.
All right, so that's the way you have to look at it. So if Elon Musk makes an offer to you, well, if the choice you make is to join him, that'll define your destiny. So I think that is what,
You're saying destiny present opportunity.
and the choices that
Choices
you
make.
make define your destiny.
Oh. But what I say, or what I've read or probably heard somewhere, that it's your personality which define reality, and your reality define your personality.
Well, I don't know about that. All I can say is personality is something that gets inculcated in you from your childhood. All right.
Agree.
So I, in fact, attribute my personality to the fact that, my father was in the armed forces. He had a transferable job, so he put me in a boarding school right from school. So I think, by virtue of that, the environment, first it was in Xavier's in Delhi, then Mayo College in Ajmer. I think the environment over there helped round me off as a complete individual. So your personality really gets developed
Yeah.
right from childhood.
So you agree that someone studying Mayo and Dunes have an undue advantage?
I would not say that. I would not say that. There are many things that you miss. For example, I don't think Mayo was great on academics, all right, but it was great in providing infrastructure, sports facilities, cultural facilities, developing your soft skills, which become so important in life,
Right. Agree.
right? Uh, so I think it all depends upon individual circumstances. But yes, there are advantages in being outside of your, let's say, zone of comfort of a family to experience things, which are very different,
Right.
because that helps build you as
Totally.
a person.
Totally. In fact, I'd say that whether you study in India or you study abroad, or it's very very important. You should get out of your comfort zone. If you are in Meerut, come to Delhi. If you're in Delhi, go to Mumbai. If you're in Mumbai, go to New York. If you are like staying with family, if you can stay alone for 2 3 years before marriage, and then alone with your wife, it can make you so much stronger and so much prepare for real life.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because every experience is a learning experience. And if you're experiencing things where you don't have a shadow of a shelter, you learn from your mistakes. And the learning is far more deep from your mistakes than from somebody
But
advising
no one
you.
want to do mistakes now. Even in lots of culture, in lots of companies, people say that embrace mistakes and all, but people are not very kind for mistakes.
That is something very interesting that you just brought up, because when we were building NIIT, we put together a set of statements which articulated our values and beliefs of the organization. And what we believed was that in order to create a culture of innovation, you should allow people to make mistakes. So, in that document, which articulates your values and beliefs, there's actually a statement which says you're allowed to make mistakes as long as it contributes to your learning. It's in black and white. All right? Because if somebody makes a mistake and you come with a ton of bricks,
Yeah,
you're
they
going to
will.
curb
Yeah,
creativity.
they will not try again.
They'll not try
In
again.
fact, I always say people are making mistakes, they're trying. People are not making mistakes, they are not even trying.
There you are.
But then there's a very thin
But
line
then you
between.
can't make the same mistake
Huh.
twice. You can't make the same
yeah,
mistake twice,
exactly.
right? Because
That
having made
costs
a mistake,
fortune, yeah.
you should learn from it.
Hmm.
You can't make it twice. So there has to be learning from that mistake. So as long as you create a culture that allows that, you'll have an organization which is innovative.
How important is education as per you? Your time, then your kids' time, and now. I guess it's changing very rapidly.
It is changing quite significantly. Uh, I think education is important from building you as a holistic individual. And by education, I just don't mean the subjects that you learn, but the experiences that you gain in the process of that education. I think now skills are becoming more important. Okay, it's not just the
Degree,
knowledge that you
yeah.
have, but what you bring to the table as a skill, which is becoming important. So in our times, you know, the formal education system really focused on the education, and then you had the vocational system which focused on
Skills.
building skills. But now, as we go forward, we are beginning to see, for example, in the new education policy, there's a merger
Yeah.
of education as well as skills,
Right.
so that you're creating individuals who are holistically more competent to deal with the challenges of tomorrow.
So you have gone through the best of the education. You have provided best of education to your kids, right? And I believe, if I'm not wrong, you're also on a board of NIT Tech University, right? What used to be, which is not now, and what is now, which probably should have been like 40 years back.
So in our times, education was rata maro, exam pass
Yeah,
karo.
yeah. The
Okay?
number you get define your even your
The numbers you get, yeah,
everything.
defines.
Yeah.
Even now, I think the numbers you get defines. But I think there is growing recognition that is not just your degree,
Hmm.
which is important. It is what you bring to the table in terms of your skills, your ability to get things done, and that is dependent on many other factors other than education.
Right.
It depends on your personality, depends on your experience, it depends upon your relationships. In fact, in today's world, uh, sometimes, more often than not, what you know and how much you know is not as important as who you
Who
know.
you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Because your network is what enables you to deliver far more than what you can deliver individually. And so, people who have stronger networks are people who are more successful. Which is why there's a cliche, common saying which says,
Net worth, your net worth.
your network is your net worth.
How I'll go back to education again. How important is to create network, and how can one genuinely create network? See, I'm into education, prop tech, real estate, travel tech, into startups. There's a startup Mahakum happening, and every day some event. When one should draw lines, or let's say someone who want to build a network, and I know you have great network, and then we talk about golf also, but how, as a layman or someone who want to create a great genuine network?
Well, basically, you're talking about how do you build relationships,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at a relationship, whether it's a personal relationship or a business relationship, what are a few things which are important in building a relationship?
Trust,
Trust
transparency.
and mutual respect,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
If any one of these two elements are missing, you don't have a relationship, right? Now, how do you build trust? Trust is again built with, I would say, it has two components. One is competence. A guy must say "Yaar, he knows something or he's good at something.
Creating value.
Yeah, he has
Yeah,
ability to
yeah.
create a value.
Yeah.
And the other is character. Okay, what is his integrity? Which people can observe from your actions. So if you have competence and you have character, then you build trust. So the most important thing in building a relationship is be good at something, be honest, have integrity, demonstrate that in your actions, because
Yeah. Yeah.
irrespective, people are watching,
Yeah.
right? And they can figure out.
Yeah.
And you talked about golf.
Mhm.
This
That's your true love?
that this comes out very nicely in a game of golf. All
Mm.
right, how you behave on the golf course,
You
you
can't fake.
can you can figure out what kind of a person he is.
Tell me more. And before that, I wanted to complete that loop. How to create relationship or network, trust, mutual respect, right? But in today's world,
The other thing is, when you talk about creating a network, when you want to build a network, the best way is to extend help.
mm,
The worst is to ask for help.
mm, mm,
So if you are in a in a gathering network and say, "Oh, I know this guy, maybe I can extract this thing from him, or he'll give me this business," and you start talking, that's when you lose that relationship. On the other hand, in a conversation, if you feel, "Hey, this person needs some help," and you can say, "Hey, I can refer you to X, Y, Z, who may help you out," then you build that relationship.
but today's generation, and including myself, right? We are in Instagram. We are like dopamine. Everything like Insta, right? At that time when I falter कि यार why I'm giving time to someone, मुझे क्या मिलेगा, right? Deep inside know कि नहीं यार, always give, you will get,
You'll get.
right? But there are times when you feel यार उसका तो फोन आ गया, मैं तो हेल्प करा जा रहा हूँ, मुझे हेल्प नहीं कर रहा कोई, right? You feel like you're a part of you're always the hero of your own story, right?
Just to answer that question, you're absolutely right. See, you should reach out for help when you really need help.
Hmm. Don't seek favors.
Don't seek favors
Hmm.
for the heck of it.
Hmm.
When you really need help, then those guys whom you have built the relationships will come forward.
Hmm. So point we get back to your true love golf, right? And someone who is aspiring to be on a, we call it a course, right? See, that's how naive I'm at. I've never been on course, and that is club.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay. Um, but coming back to, I've seen people who've been considered as the biggest of leaders, new age, fastest growing, this, that. They're always on social media. Even I'm very active on social media, but they've been actually building on public, and they've been making big statements without naming the founders. Like there are lots of founders, and Agenda Janta sees it, wow, superhero. He's been so transparent. He's been this, that. But they've been so they perfect the art of storytelling so odiously that even they're lying. See, as a storyteller, you can always data. You can you can manipulate data. You can always bring data. My MPS has increased from 4% to 23%. I mean, it's very subjective, right? And then people see this like reality. Wow, what a superhero!
Yeah, but if that bullshit
And
is
and
if
that
that bullshit is caught,
but people earning,
no, they
people
may
raising
earn.
funds.
But if that bullshit is caught, then you
Then
lose
this
the trust.
lose trust.
You lose the
But I'm saying,
relationship.
but see, no, I say no one is foolish, right? People have been watching those actions, that statements and all, right? Just because people keep raising funds, lots of bullshit they've been doing, they get away. I mean, did you face something like this? Have you seen in your era? Because in today's era, the startup era is like whoever is raising funds, they are successful. Whether their PN is bleeding, whether they've been lying, whether they've been storytelling in a wrong way, but they are raising funds. They are good at, let's say, talk about Uber. Let's say, talk about WeWork. There was no model at all. But
No,
because,
but then they crashed, right? Beaver
but
crashed.
then
When
that founder raised funds. But that founder raised enough money. If you see from their point of view, it might be a failure, but the founder made enough money to launch another fund and another startup, and they've been celebrated.
So I think if you look at startups, really, if the focus is on valuation, then you have a problem.
Hmm.
The focus needs to be on the business model and the
Valuation.
business,
Always
and
valuation.
valuation will follow.
Totally.
Right. So I think in all these cases, they've been focusing on the business model,
Hmm.
and they've been able to see. People won't put money of that kind if they don't feel that the model is strong. Yeah, something may have gone wrong,
Yeah.
and so it crashed. So it crashed.
Right.
So I think my advice is, in today's world, you're fortunate that you have people who
Yeah,
are
yeah.
willing to put money. In
Yeah,
our
yeah,
world,
yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have
yeah,
people who
yeah,
would
yeah,
put
yeah.
money, right?
How was it? How was it?
Well,
When you started in 1995 and you went public in 2010.
no. We
Uh,
started in 80, 82, 83 was the company was founded,
right.
and we went public in 93. So it took good 10 years.
But even in if you talk about that era when things were not that fast and all, going public in 12 years was amazing feat. So tell me, Mona, like what did work, what didn't work? 12 years was a relatively small time to
Well,
go IPO.
the thing is that we were fortunate to be part of an industry which
Hmm.
had just was just nurturing. And as I mentioned right in the beginning, we've been a generation which has gone through this journey in which I remember when we used to travel overseas in the 80s, like I mentioned earlier, India was viewed as a country of snake charmers,
Hmm.
right? We didn't have credit cards.
Hmm.
Till the
Right.
mid 90s, we didn't have credit cards. I remember checking into hotels where, I would give travelers checks at the
Right.
counter,
Thomas Cooks.
and the person at the counter would say, ye kya hai? What is this? And at times, our local manager, who was there in the US or any one of these countries, would actually use his credit card to check us in. And this was, till the late 90s, the situation was like this. Uh, so it was a different world altogether.
Altogether, yeah.
Telephones used to take 7 years to get. An ordinary telephone would take 7 years,
Now in 7 minutes you get an iPhone.
right?
7 minutes.
So the world has changed completely in India. So it was very different world at that point of time, and but it was an enjoyable journey. Breaking through all these barriers and creating and being part of an industry which has made the country proud.
No, totally true. The way you guys have shaped up, you know, India and IT sector, which is now synonymous to India growth. And I guess today's generation, we have been so fortunate that we have the fastest internet, cheapest internet, best of the talent, AI around. So I say, I mean, there were times when I used to flaunt, we have a 400 people team. I'm like, now I wasn't embarrassed, but I'm like, do we really need 400 people team? It's a flex point, like with AIs and everything coming in. Now, rather than adding more bodies, I want to continue with 400 people team, but create at least 4,000 people outcome, and that's where the growth for everyone, right? But and then you have seen like the whole starter system started in 2013 in India, right? 2013 is when I started my first company, Rogers. Things were tough. There were no like there were people were. I mean, we also just started. We never thought it was going to be a startup. We're like, I went abroad. I didn't get my housing. Came back. You know,
And
and
you felt कि करना
and
चाहिए कुछ.
and I didn't get my housing. ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं था. My Twitter handle is ex-Tinder CEO, right? And I came back, and one of my cousin who studied undergrad, postgrad in UK, they're like, I guess I'm doing admission, but there's some space there. So I joined him. We started. I was a banker, right? In the morning I was a banker. In the evening I was building this up. वहीं पे मैंने Excel सीखा. Because there was so much of data, right? And then it just happened. And then unfortunately or fortunately I moved out or I was kicked out. I started in university living. But if you see from 2011 to 2015, it started by building up. That was the first phase of startups. All your Ubers and even student.com of work. Then the second period was 2015 till let's say 2019, and then from 2019 to 24, and now we are in the fourth era of startups in India and globally, right? But totally, things are, if I compare things with what you have gone through, wherein it took companies to build at least 30 years to build substantial companies, and but then also market was slow also to to punish people also. It took 3-4 years to wrap up, but now you create companies in 6 to 3 months years, and within a quarter you can done and dusted if you are like just off and you are done and dusted. The way you have built up your organization, which is a legacy, like Mr. Pawar, you guys, the when I meet your team members, and which are my CFOs and all, there are always some stories and anecdotes, and we've been taking cues that अच्छा उस टाइम में ना ये ऐसा करते थे. you know how to create a legacy business in a sustainable way, fast enough to be relevant and not fast enough to go, you know, just, fly by the night. What are those values, traits, thoughts, process, insights you want to add?
इसमें सबसे पहले you have to figure out, not figure out, you have to recognize that for the organization, people are important and the people look after your customers. So if you look after the people, people look after your interests.
But then nowadays people are being fired on Zoom calls. People say, and all the founders and lots of people, good people say that, people are very important. But then they
No,
still.
but then they're not walking the talk. Na? Because
आपने कभी ले ऑफ किया?
काफी
करना पड़ा?
करना पड़ता है. I mean, non-performer, for example, you have to. But then there's a way of doing it.
Because see, we've been fortunate, or probably not brave enough. We have not fired people. Performance wise, yes, now we have started, but there are things like pandemic, there are things like market is slow, there are things like
No,
people are not evolving.
There you have to show more empathy. If there's an external crisis, then you have to show more empathy. Because then, that is how you build relationships. In a period of difficulty, if you show empathy with your people or your
totally.
customers, for example,
They stick around.
then when the crisis passes, they become very strong.
Agree. We have seen that in pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. But what if then when people are evolving? What if
No, then obviously then you have to say it's not working out, right? It's good, better for you as well as for us that you find something.
But
else.
then everyone's hero their own story. So they're like, नहीं यार मैं तो अच्छा कर रहा हूँ, मैं तो evolve हो रहा हूँ.
नहीं, तुम्हारे से
And
बोलने
then
से थोड़ा
it
होता है.
might go, I mean, relationship both ways, right? And I always say as a company, we are like a बड़ी गाड़ी, और हमेशा बड़ी गाड़ी की तो गलती होती है, right? So you are in a very conscious way, you are talking and trying to convey them, but they are like nahi, they are not agreeing only. And then when they are asked to leave, then there's a bad blood.
Bad blood तो होगा. उसमें see, the important thing is how do you get alignment of people to what you're trying to do? Okay, you're trying to make a difference, to the lives of students. You want to deliver a certain kind of experience. You want to grow the organization a certain piece, right? All this has to be broken down into specific goals for individuals.
Right.
Right? That conversation is very important. Because then people know what you expect and you have communicated what you have expected. Now, if a person doesn't live up to that expectation, you have an easier conversation. भाई we had agreed यार ये करना है, नहीं हो रहा, right? Okay, I can give you a chance, but then let it not happen again. फिर अगर होगा तो then so there are ways and means of doing it.
But still, no, that's what I'm saying. Are you saying people are important?
No,
right.
that is the importance, right? That's the importance. You're giving a chance, but the person himself can see यार नहीं हो रहा. So then when you have this difficult conversation, they understand. But what happens is when you don't give feedback and suddenly you say यार तुम काम ठीक से नहीं कर रहे हो, फिर बोलते हैं.
नहीं वो तो I always say as a leader, your main thing is to give feedback timely. Not only give feedback. When chips are down and you say मैं तो बोला था, ये किया था, वो किया था, then तो वो excuse है and they are like blame games. So coming back to like the bigger question. What are those things like people are important? What else?
No. So, like I said, for the organization, people are important. For the people, customers are important. Right? And for everybody, society is important. So, you have to have goals defined or directions defined for each one of them. For your people, for your customers, and for society. So when you do that, then you are creating an organization which is inclusive and supportive. And so you find customers are helping you, your people are helping you, and the environment also helps you.
do you want to give any example in any tech or in your career, something like wherein
Yeah, I
you
can
put
many
people
examples.
on
Like
top?
I just told you uh, that we have this, document which describes the values and beliefs of the organization. It starts with NIT's people. All right. In fact, the opening sentence is the growth of the organization is the derivative of growth of each one of us. So which means if people are growing, the organization is growing. You're allowed to make mistakes as long as the mistakes contribute to your learning. Right? So these are people oriented statements. Then follows by customer oriented statements, which means we deliver more value than what
Yes,
you pay to
respected.
us. And finally, statements associated with a society where you say that I will work towards contribution to mankind. So, for example, um, the organization had taken up many initiatives to create digital literacy, to uplift marginal sections of society by making them digitally literate, by creating skills and employability. So these are all, contribution to society.
You know the kind of audience we're talking, right? Gen Z. And I have all respect to all the generation. It's very polarized. There are people who are very smart. There are people who are very like they are like clueless. But one thing I have seen is now people have become very self-aware, or we can call it a better word, lack of better word, selfish. Right? आपने ग्रोथ की बात करी, सोसाइटी की बात करी, मैनकाइंड की बात करी. In today's generation, I'm only saying, and probably to the large extent, I'm also right. I mean, to be honest, I always say create value for others and for me, right? But today's generation, and including me, right, to a large extent, wherein, हाँ ठीक है यार, society सब अच्छा है, but how I'm growing. You mentioned growth is growth of an organization is derivative to people. उस हिसाब से तो फिर हमें सबको 30%, सबका 30%, 20% मैक्सिमम अप्रेजल करना चाहिए. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू कंपनी एंड वी वांट टू बी प्रॉफिटेबल टू
नो,
गो आईपीओ.
आप 30% कर सकते हो. इफ यू आर ग्रोइंग 50%, आप कर सकते हो. बट अगर आप नेगेटिव जा रहे हो तो 30% कैसे करोगे?
राइट.
नहीं हो सकता ना. सो देयरफॉर
But
अगर अगर उसको
in the
30%.
capitalist market, if you have investors and even you are not investor, you want to do IPO and all, you want to increase your EBITDA, you want to create your PAT, right? For that, you need to have a control on your cost. So even if you're growing 50% and you want to give 30% your team, but then at the same time you want to create a bigger value and to have a bigger PAT so that you get a bigger valuation, you know, eventually people who in the founding team who have ESOPs, they will understand all this that हाँ ठीक है profit ज़्यादा होगा हमारी wealth बनेगी. But people who are probably starting off, probably they don't have ESOPs or they're like ठीक है यार मुझे पहले सैलरी चाहिए, मुझे आज के खर्चे निकालने हैं, वेल्थ बाद बात की बात करूँगा.
नहीं नहीं
They will
उसमें
say 50% ग्रोथ हो गई, मुझे 30% दो.
नहीं 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 ऐसे नहीं होता. सी उसमें लीडर्स हैव अ रोल. एंड आई थिंक आई हैव ऑलवेज मेंटेन्ड दिस ethos that a supervisor's role is not to supervise but create a superior vision.
So,
Okay, very important, because when you supervise and start giving directions, ऐसे करो वैसे करो, I expect this, I expect that, then you're shifting the responsibility from the individual to yourself. The real role of a supervisor is to give this direction and align the team to that direction. बहुत important है. Obviously, you will need competent people in that team to deliver on that direction. So, leader का role एक ही होता है. एक तो direction define करो, align everybody to that direction, and make sure you have the right people in the right place to deliver on that. When you do that, all these issues that you're talking about won't happen.
True.
ठीक है? And when I'm talking about a vision or a direction, it is not just your direction. It is a collective aspiration of the entire team. Where you are one person who's saying, यार मैं ऐसे सोच रहा हूँ, ऐसे करना चाहिए, then you have to make sure everybody is getting aligned to that. And I've seen tremendous results. So, for example, I'm not talking about at the organizational level. At the organizational level, very different. Even at the team level, when you're building software, for example, it is usually expected कि भाई bugs तो होंगे, huh? But we've had teams which have defined a goal of zero defects,
Oh.
and they have got the team members to align to that goal. So what happens is team members do extra diligence to see that a defect does not get caught during testing.
It's the ethos. You're right.
So you do right,
Yeah.
you things right the first time,
Right.
right?
And it drive from leader vision.
So it has to
How
be,
the leader is.
yeah, it has to be driven by the leader. So ये जो mindset है,
Very true.
this has to be created by the leader.
How to find a good leader? Leader are born or leader can be created? It's a very cliche question, but what's your view on this?
No, leaders can be created.
People can create.
Absolutely.
So what are the ways to create good leaders?
Well, obviously, there are a lot of soft skills that need to be developed. We already talked about ability to build relationships. All right, how does he, even with a subordinate, how does he create that relationship of trust? Communication. The leader's main job is to, with the customer, communicate how good your product is. Okay, with the team, how to inspire the team. Okay, with an investor, how to pitch. So communication skills are absolutely paramount and fundamental, for a good leader.
They're leader who are impulsive. They're leader who are stoic, right? There's a situation when I'm very impulsive, and there's a situation when I'm very stoic. How to balance out?
So actually, leadership style, it varies at one end to be extremely task oriented, to the other end to be extremely relationship oriented. All right, ये दो extremes हैं.
Right.
Now, what style you adopt depends on the team
Situation.
and the kind of team that you're managing. So if you're dealing with a bunch of immature people, then you have to use a task oriented. भाई ये ऐसे करना है, मेरे को पता है ऐसे करो. But if you're dealing with a team of mature people who know their stuff,
Very true.
then you allow them the liberty to deliver on the vision that you've created.
Very true. Very true.
So style flexibility is extremely important.
There's no thumb rule.
thumb rule नहीं है.
It's all depends on the situation, the person you are
and the people that you are managing.
But then let's say मैं विराट कोहली हूँ और मेरा एक तरीका है गेम खेलने का और मेरा गेम खेलने का वही तरीका है. सिचुएशन चेंज होगी, मैं अडॉप्ट कर लूँगा, पर मेरा नेचुरल अडॉप्ट नहीं है. And 10 में से like almost out of 10 times, probably 7-8 times I will falter because that's not my natural way of leadership or play game. So you are saying that you need to be adaptive. You need to be gauge the situation and act or not react accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And is there any way to master this?
Reaction is the worst thing, by the way.
Yeah. Right.
When you talk about being impulsive, there's one standard technique: count till 5. अगर तुम्हें कुछ पसंद नहीं आया ना, just count till 5.
Yeah.
ठीक है ना, फिर थोड़ा दिमाग ठंडा हो गया, then you see what the situation is and then go.
So you've been learning all this from golf? Let's get back to your true love or your latest love. Let's go back to golf.
Not all this, but golf. I think the great thing about golf is it's a social game. And the reason why it's a social game is because you can play with people with unequal skills. It's probably the only game you can play with people with unequal skills. And you have the opportunity of being with the person, for a good 4 or 5 hours. It gives you ample opportunity to interact. So it's a great game for building relationships. All right. And you indeed build great relationships, when you play golf. The second is when you're actually playing the game, there are a few fundamentals in that game which are very useful for life. एक बड़ा famous saying है golf में, जो डर गया वो मर गया.
Okay.
Okay, which means if you are, ready to strike the ball, you have to commit to your swing and hit the ball. All right. If you faltered halfway through, or even your thought process goes somewhere else, you'll miss it.
अच्छा,
You'll
ऐसा
miss
क्यों?
it.
So like it's a game of commitment. Like if
It's a game
you're
of
all in,
commitment.
all out. You
It's a,
can't have half-hearted.
yeah. So that's a great lesson for business. That when you do
You're
something, you
committed.
commit yourself to it, and then just go after it. So that's, I think, a great lesson, a very great lesson from golf. And the third thing, as we were discussing earlier, you can gauge the personality
Hmm.
and the character of an person on a round of golf.
कैसे? How?
भाई, he hits a bad shot, अगर वो गाली देगा, क्या है, how he recovers from a bad shot, how he celebrates a good shot, so many things, which
But that's true for any sports, na? If you're playing badminton, if you're playing like I'm very competitive. When I play, I'm very competitive, right? I don't get into disrespect mode, but then I don't mind rubbing shoulders and like if I'm playing to win, and that's my personality now. Like I'm very competitive without being unfair, right? And I agree because I've been. In fact, I have two, three. I'm talking on the camera. I have two, three ways to when I hire. Ideal way. I want to hire. I want to take him for dinner and drinks. I want to play cards with him. You get the real personality. If you play cards, real personality.
see, because you're observing.
Hmm.
See, when you're playing badminton or tennis, you can't really observe. You're focused more on the shuttle and the
हाँ,
ball.
but मोटे मोटे पता चल जाता है जैसे आपने golf का बोला हाँ I got your
हर
point
गेम में कुछ
हाँ
ना कुछ
हाँ
पता लगता है,
हाँ
but
हाँ
here you're observing, you're together,
even
you're
you're observing your nuances and very
nuances.
yeah right and then also that because you also observing like जैसे let's say the other day I was playing badminton with someone the way they're like अरे अंदर गिरी है बाहर गिरी है उससे पता चल जाता है कि when the situation like then they might become dodgy
Many such occasions happen in golf. ठीक है? There are many opportunities to cheat in golf. अब बॉल हिला दोगे थोड़ा सा.
हाँ अच्छा इसमें तो you play with yourself
I mean,
tell me more ना
you're scoring against yourself, But obviously, when you play with another player, if he's a better player, that better player will give you a handicap, a few strokes.
and who defines a better player generally
Well, normally every club keeps track of what your handicap is. When you submit your scores, they say at my handicap X, Y, Z.
okay
All right.
okay
But when you are with a group of friends, you know each other's game because you played so often,
okay
and so you between yourself figure out.
but then फिर ये तो होता होगा ना कि like I mean let's say like me and Mayim play squash so I know at time I play there are days when I play better there are days when he plays better so more or less we are equals
Yeah, equal.
so who will give handicap
नहीं वो स्क्वाश में होता ही नहीं handicap.
हाँ और golf में कैसे पता चलेगा golf में there are days I mean you are saying that like in cricket you can score zero and you can score century so you're saying golf में there are
Record
not
होता है ना.
there are no forms and there are no days when you are playing better or worse
Some days you play better, some days you play worse. So over a period of time,
so you're saying average करके okay
हाँ.
okay okay
So normally what they do is they take the score of your last 10 best games. उनके तरीके होते हैं.
तरीके it's mutually decided
हाँ,
and mutually
mutually decided.
understood
Yeah.
okay then so you give handicap then
So when you give a handicap, then you're equal. All right. So if you are a better player, you'll give me 6 strokes, which means I have the liberty of hitting one ball teda and recovering.
why people get addicted to golf
Because
or they take so much of pride of playing golf
no, it's not pride. It is number one, it's an enjoyable game. Like I said, it's a social game, good exercise, and there is a spirit of competitiveness against yourself. You want to better your score, all right? For which you do a lot of research. You go to YouTube, you learn this, you learn that, but you may know the theory, but putting it into practice becomes a challenge.
is it a tough game
No, it's not a tough game. But to put it to practice, you need to devote some time and energy, go to the range, practice that shot.
you need to be committed
You have to be committed.
in fact very interestingly when I'm talking to you I have few friends who are very impulsive and they are loving golf and the people are very very patient and they are in love in golf people are patient because this game is a like committed game you need to provide 4 5 hours and So is there any way wherein people who are impulsive, are also good in golf and vice versa? कभी आपने कुछ ऐसा observe
No,
किया है?
no. ऐसा है.
मैंने say
When you, when
impulsive
you,
with
when
high
you, when you
energy.
enjoy something, then you don't think it, you have to be patient because you're enjoying it. If you don't enjoy it, then
You need to work
you
hard.
have to. But if you're enjoying something, so matlab, even busy people, they get up at 5 in the morning, finish their 4 rounds, and then go to work. 4 hours and then go to work. So
Nice. Nice. So, coming back to education, and just like this thought just, while I was talking to you. So your elder son, Ankur, didn't go abroad to study, and your daughter, you sent her to study in UK, I believe.
no, I didn't send her.
Acha.
She chose, and
She went herself.
She
चलो.
went herself.
At least I'm saying you're one of those parents who are like supportive. Like तुझे पढ़ना है, तुझे यहाँ पढ़ना है, जो करना है. I've seen, right? I've interacted with Ankur, I've interacted with Seema, and just for camera and for my audience, I mean, now he's more of family. In fact, uh, as I mentioned, like Ankur and Seema have been playing Cupid among us, right? They are the one who introduce and connect, and then we just like, at least I love to interact with you. I'm taking that liberty that okay, you are also like enjoying talking to me. But Ankur study from here, and he's doing great. Your younger daughter or your daughter is in UK. Did you see any kind of difference of like people studying in India or studying abroad through their experiences?
So yeah, in my daughter's case, she was an HR professional working in Gurgaon, and during COVID she was at home, and she picked up some skills in Adobe and started doing freelance graphic designing.
Oh,
And she got so interested in that she said she needed a formal education in that subject. So she did her whole own research and selected the University of Leeds to go and study over there. And uh, I think obviously being in a foreign environment has given a different aura to her personality now.
She's more confident or more
Much more
social
confident because she's been managing
on her
things.
own. Yeah.
Well, she was here also on her own in Gurgaon, but in a totally different place. जाते ही COVID हो गया and all kinds of things, so she managed all that, and now she's a game designer,
Oh, wow.
and happily settled.
So, and probably that's one of the reasons people start choosing abroad. Now, of course, in India with NEP, people can be HR and game designer. But still, there's a long way to go in Indian institutes to have those kinds of content and curriculums, wherein probably one can read finance and one can read arts together. Is it happening in India?
Yeah, no, I think now the
Especially
shift is happening.
especially you being, is it right to call you educator, being a part of a university?
Well, yeah, you can say some exposure to the university environment. So we have,
More about NIIT Techno,
so
university, NIIT
so
University.
NIT University is a pretty young university. It was founded in 2009, so it's quite young. Basically focused on technology education, so degrees in computer science, electronics, biotech, also masters, PhD, MBA. We run these kind of programs, fully residential, beautiful 100-acre campus
In Jaipur, Nimran.
halfway to Jaipur in Neemrana. And it's a university actually which is being built actually on 4 pillars. Number one, one of the biggest issues in formal education is the relevance of the curriculum to industry.
Okay.
So, what we try to do is industry focused, technology led, intense
That's
amount of
your call,
technology,
yeah.
platforms, research driven, because that's the crying need for the nation. The amount of research that we do is insignificant as compared to any
Yeah,
other
yeah.
nation.
Hardly.
You know,
Not even 1% of GDP. Not even that. Half.
0.7% of GDP. China is 2.5%.
And then people expect we should get deep sea rate here.
Yeah. So, In fact, the biggest challenge for the country right now is the mindset for innovation.
Innovation.
So that's what we
सबको
try.
कट को भी पेश करके पैसे कमाने जल्दी,
Huh.
बस उनकी भी गलती नहीं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ही नहीं है. आप R&D लेके जाओ किसी को, आपको ग्रांट्स नहीं मिलते, मिलते तो पीनेस मिलते हैं.
No,
You
no.
want to create
See,
deep
it's a
seek
mindset. It's a mindset. Again, it's a complete mindset
mindset.
where, as I mentioned, see, innovation is not the domain of a few people doing R&D.
Right. It
Okay,
can happen through anyone.
it is improvements being done by everybody
Hmm.
that leads to innovation. All right. So to drive innovation, you need to create a culture which
Hmm.
supports it. If you have a culture which supports it, you will get innovation. So if everybody starts applying their mind, you'll see improvements all over, and
Hmm.
that's innovation. So innovation is nothing but creativity
Yeah.
implemented. You allow people to be creative, and if it can be implemented, that's innovation.
Right. And anything can be innovative. Na?
Yeah,
Just the process can be improved. Communication can be improved. That's
correct.
innovation.
That's innovation. So we used to at NIIT Tech encourage certain kind of behavior. In fact, we used to call it the high five. All right. The five things. One is think customer, challenge the status quo, generate new ideas, improve continuously, and take ownership. Right? People displaying these behaviors would either be put on a pedestal as a role model, or there'll be some reward, or there'll be some recognition. So you encourage this kind of behavior which drives
So think customer, challenge status quo,
think customer, challenge the status quo, generate new ideas, improve continuously,
and
and
take
take
ownership.
ownership. So you see something not okay.
Take ownership.
Instead of saying, yeah, not my job, take ownership, bring it to the notice of somebody, who can act upon it. That's taking ownership. So, so we should encourage the behavior. And again, this has to be driven by the leaders. So in the company, most of the you talk about Gen Z, most of the people are young. Average age would be 26, 27.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So just to drive home the point that five behaviors, which of course was communicated in posters, etc., is important for the organization, I would always greet people with a high five. Because that's a greeting for young people. Instead of shaking hands, high five. ठीक है
Nice.
तो वो देख रहा है अच्छा अच्छा ये लीडर है इसको मतलब he wants these five things to be
Nice.
embedded in the mind.
Nice. Because I have a habit of shaking hands with everyone. Now the team has expanded, so earlier I used to go and meet everyone every day. Now probably I ensure that once a week I'll go and meet everyone. But this is a good reminder.
Yeah, every
Great
year,
reminder.
every year we get together. We used to get together with our staff in all locations once a year. Right? It used to be called the annual day.
Oh.
All right. So 9-10,000 people in different cities. And Rajiv Pawar and myself, we would stand at the gate and greet everybody with a high five as they entered the hall. All right. So that, that's how you make
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
that,
yeah.
what,
Inculcate,
what
yes,
behavior you want
yes.
in the organization gets inculcated.
Very nice. How are you picking these adage and these? I can see lots of good leaders. Most of the leaders they have these like high five, or they have created some acronyms and ways to keep it things so simple. So any leader who want to create a legacy organization and want to keep improving, how to innovate themselves.
You should ask Modi ji. He does that all the time.
I don't have access to Modi at this point in time. So the best person I have access, I'm asking.
Yeah. No, actually, you have to look at the mood of the people and what gels with them. Like high five was because all young people, right? Then typically they do this kind of a
Right,
greeting. So
right.
that's how that thought process comes. It helps simplify things. I once a statesman, old Singaporean statesman. His name is Ing Kok song. He actually stood for the presidential elections, and he said, for wholesome living, you should wear a shield, okay, which is an acronym that very interesting acronym. So shield stands for S means sleep at least
Sleep.
7 hours
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah.
Okay. H, ideally have no stress but handle stress. Very important. Huh? I, interact with people, network, build relationships. E, exercise, play golf. L, learn continuously. Things are changing too fast.
Uh,
And D, most difficult, is manage your diet.
right.
So these acronyms simplify things and it sticks in your mind. And if you follow those, it helps you.
I follow this MEDRX, meditation, exercise, diet. R was I'm missing R. X is X factor. Anything which makes you happy, don't miss to play
So there
or do.
you created one for yourself.
No, I had somewhere. I mean, any question you have for me, sir?
For you,
Yeah, anything.
yeah,
Any
absolutely.
suggestion,
You
feedback?
tell me, what the environment is now again into a churn with the Trump administration creating a lot of destabilization, particularly for students. So, how is that going to impact your business? And how would you help students navigate through this?
Very loaded question, and well, people might think I've asked you to ask this, but I'm not prepared to answer this. But let me give it a shot. See, I totally agree. See, in last 14, 15 years, I'm part of the industry. I realized there's always be a cyclicality. There will be destinations which will go over the roof, like Canada, UK, Australia, and then there will be a consolidation phase because of vote banking, election coming in, or people, you know, probably taking or abusing the loopholes and systems. You know, and there will be always course correction. In last year was the first time ever I've seen there are 42 elections happen in all across. So it's like a system getting reboot, right? Like in pandemic was a reboot for lots of industry. For us, I believe last year was a reboot for our industry. The good part, someone who is going for right reasons, they don't need to, worry. People were going for immigration, or probably people who were sending people in a wrong way, they are the one who need to worry, right? Because if you see some numbers, there are 7.4 million students who study abroad outside their country. There are 80 million students who get enrolled across the globe, including India and all the domestic. Out of which 1.3 million is Indian students, right? Around 6 million, as I mentioned, is international students. So there are enough numbers, right? And even with study in India, university like NIIT and many other universities who are trying to really create great institutions, still we have 40 to 42 million Indian students getting graduate every year. So there is still enough demand and supply impact. And then there is a status single. Then there is a particular course. Let's say Malika went to University of Leeds, right? Because there was a that course which you were looking, the faculty you were looking. Then there is always with globalization, with excess of finances, with global aspiration, now world has become an oyster. People
No,
don't.
so I think essentially what I'm hearing you say is that
The macros are intact.
you've hedged your risks.
Yeah, the macros
Something
are
will
intact.
go up, something will come
Absolutely.
down. So
Yeah.
you
So
are into multiple
one thing
geographies.
is macros are intact. Second thing is, at least as a company we are hedged because there's always a geopolitical risk. So even with US, Canada going through trouble, or Australia having some regulated controlled growth, there are Europe which is coming in. There is UK which is holding up. Then as a company, we are well hedged, and we are doing something which is need based. In pandemic, I realized one thing: even if World War III happen, should not happen, can happen. Even in that case, international education might take hit, but will not go out of business, because everyone is continue to grow, continue to travel, which I just mentioned. Because in our time, roti kapda makan was three. Today is travel, education, and probably probably experience, right? So with that aspiration, people will continue to go abroad, and people when they go abroad, they need housing, they need air tickets, So probably that's our thesis. Not sure what will happen next 3 years, but the maximum intact. It's a course correction. This is a time when people will the wheat will be different from the chaff. People will keep innovating, investing, holding up, being relevant. They'll continue to grow.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
How can one so we are now IPO bound. At least we have started telling that we are going IPO. We are very serious about IPO, right?
Why are you telling people?
To us internally,
Internally.
like
Okay.
internally we are like
Okay.
talking
You
that
are preparing.
yeah, because we have always been profitable. We are very clear we want to create a large outcome. Because I'm never thought of building a lifestyle business after we raise our first round. We're like now we have raised fund. It's serious. We need to really create exit and value for everyone. So someone like you who have gone through the journey, lived that journey from 83 to 95 and then thereafter, what are the journey looks like, and what are few things we need to be prepared and careful and inculcate in our way of working if we want to go IPO next, let's say, next 2 to 3 years.
So your story has to be absolutely clear, right? I think it starts by, as I mentioned earlier, articulating an engaging vision or an inspiring vision, right? Which everybody should understand. Your people should understand. Your customers should understand. Your uh, investors, they should understand. Ki, bhai, this is the direction that you're wanting to go. Then you break it down into what's your mission. These may sound academic, but these are very, very important
very important
statements
questions,
to be
yes.
articulated. All right. Because that will tell you how you're going to go about doing
Right,
this.
right.
And then, what is your strategy? Okay, strategy basically is an articulation of how will you ensure
We reach
your
that mission.
your competitive advantage in this space. So, these three things you need to be very clear and then build your story around articulating these three statements. But most of all, I would say your business model should be sound. All right. In fact, since we were talking of acronyms, there's a colleague of mine who at NIIT who then became a professor, Dr. Dhruvnath at MDI.
Why I know Dhruv.
You know Dhruv?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's written a book.
Right.
He's written a book called Funding Your Startups and Other Nightmares. You must read that book.
Yeah, I got extra that I've not read it. Yes.
You got it?
Yeah.
So there he
Forward.
talks about a framework called Persistent. Okay. Which is an acronym, very interesting acronym, which should actually define a business model. So P stands for, do you have a product which people are willing to pay for? E is your earning model. Can you make profits? Ultimately, initially you may not, but also over a period of time you should. Okay. R, have you identified the risks and mitigated it? I, what is the unique thing about your business model? The innovation. I is for innovation. What's the unique thing? Right? S, what's the size of this market? Is it a chotu motu thing that you're doing, or it can be scaled up? PERIS, persist. T is a team. In fact,
Most important.
Do you have people with the right chemistry, who work together and are driving this business? E, what is the entry barrier? You've done a great job. Can somebody else copy the same thing?
Oh.
And when you're a startup, you must start somewhere, a niche, before you start going anywhere. What is that niche? Have you established as a niche? And T is attraction, which means, are you actually making money? So this I found to be a very useful model. Just see how you're doing. Read through the book, and then see how you're doing. And he's given many examples of startups who have been successful and who have not been successful and where they have failed in persistent.
Very interesting.
इसको follow करो, and if you're on top of this, you're good for IPO.
How to create a great team? Good team or great team? How to create a good team and then make it great?
See, a team, like I said, starts with a superior vision. Okay, they must buy into that vision. If somebody is not aligned to it, then your team is weak. Now, to deliver on that vision, you'll need different competencies. You have to make sure that the people in that team have those competencies. Because what you want to do is, you don't want to be supervising them.
Right.
You want a team in place who are aligned to the vision, and they should be firing on all cylinders and delivering on that vision. You are there as a coach if they are stuck, and they come to you for advice, you give them advice, but you don't butt your nose in the middle as long as they're delivering. You are there in crisis. When there's a crisis, then obviously you have to jump in and lead from the front. Other than that, your job is only to define the direction and make sure the right people are there in place to deliver on that.
What if, firstly, how to create a superior team? Okay. But let's say any enterprising entrepreneur, or let's say people who have not raised lots of funds, or probably they're bootstrapped, right? Team is a factor of course, mission, community, connects, serendipity, but also money, right? At time, and we have gone through that phase wherein like bootstrap or we were profitable, we were making money, but not enough money to attract better or a more efficient, capable team members, and hence
See, at this stage, the best way to get alignment is to get them to buy into your vision and give them options. Okay, that way you don't incur the expense,
right,
but you provide them with the upside, and which they will, if they bought into the vision, they'll be
but
happy.
but now people are like, there are lots of cases where people have given ESOPs and all, but they were scams. Like, I mean, company didn't do well, or founders just allocated and they didn't redeem it or vested. I mean, there are so many cases, right? Earlier there were less risk taking people, but people were more, I'm not like, I might be sounding that I'm being like sounding bichara, right? But I know there are lots of people, fortunately, I mean, I went through at Uni Rogers, I was 50% founder, but legally I couldn't do anything. When company were doing very well, I was kicked out, and I couldn't do anything. Right? Similarly, there are so many founders, and even at time I also get feedback that, oh, we have the stops, but when is getting wasted? What I do should that paper
No,
piece?
that's true. That is true. That is why you have to define the direction. You have to define your vision. That there will be a monetization event. I expect it to happen in such and such time period.
So you're saying be transparent, be
And
communicative.
be transparent. If it's not happening, be transparent.
No.
Because people will know, acha, the company is not ready.
Right.
And they'll stick on.
Makes sense.
So obviously, they're taking a risk with you, but then there'll be good upsides. There'll be good upsides. And this also works in times of crisis. I recollect in 2008, when there was the subprime crisis. You remember the subprime crisis where the
we were doing MBAs. That time we were just fresh MBAs. So imagine, we did MBAs and we spent enough money, and there were no jobs. So they were like just entry level jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So at that time, there was a global recession. Businesses got impacted. Even our business at NIIT Tech got severely impacted. All right. So we had to be transparent about the fact that we'll all have to take salary cuts, and the leadership will take the maximum, and the lower guys will take lower. But we also said that we'll give options. Stock price had gone down because of the recession.
Right.
We'll give you option at these prices so that when we recover,
You
you
get
will
a
more than
upside.
compensate. Right? So you
Makes
can
sense.
use some mechanisms like that.
Absolutely. That's very, very, very practical, you know. And another thing which I really like interacting with you, you give acronyms, but you give practical advice, you know. And that's a great combination. At least, I mean, I always look forward to interact with you, right? On that note, you know, and like I'm just thinking about like now you're semi-retired, if I say that.
Retired.
Retired, okay. Semi, because I always say once an entrepreneur, once a you part of so many things, so you always in thinking and like you know giving back, right? How's the journey? Do you think like at time I think that like there are time when you know we get offered to sell companies, you know we get very lucrative offer on table that you know like you get so much and this and that and that's big money. And I'm like, and I get tempted, right? I'm like, but बेच के करूँगा क्या? काम भी तो करना
No,
है
it
और
all
फिर
depends.
दोबारा से build up
If
करूँगा.
you're a serial entrepreneur, you'll jump at that. Okay, I've done this, I brought it to a certain stage. Time for me to do something else. All right? You can do that anytime in life.
Right.
We did the same thing, right? So we built NIIT Tech, brought it to a certain stage. Then it was time to plan for succession. Brought in a young CEO, identified an investor, and that young CEO has taken it from where to where. It's now Coforge, right? Multiple times value has been delivered. So it
How did you decide and define that it's time to move ahead and look for a successors? Because once you're an entrepreneur, once you are in thick and thin, इतनों में आदत हो जाती है. दूसरा हमें लगता है हम अपनी तरफ से बेस्ट दे भी रहे होते हैं, but then probably we're not good enough. But very less people will able to identify and listen to their people around and pick signals. What was that for you?
well, obviously, we're all getting up some age. You don't have that level of energy and drive, and you obviously need somebody who has, in the fast changing environment, to have somebody who has much more energy and drive and will come with new ideas. When you are so long, in the organization, your ideas also start getting limited. So there's a point in time that you recognize
You're
that.
a chairman right now, or what is your status at NIT and
No,
Forge?
I told you I'm retired.
You're retired.
I'm retired. So now I'm engaged with the university. I'm on the board of the university, but that's a not-for-profit.
Right.
Then I'm a trustee at NASCOM Foundation. This is also,
Right.
giving
You're
more
giving
to-
back. Yeah.
Then I'm on a board of a tech company, which keeps me current with whatever's
What's
happening in
happening? Right.
technology.
Let's keep you abreast.
Then I am quite active with our alumni association, where I drive a mentorship program. Basically, IIT Kharagpur, has got a lot of experienced, successful leaders.
Right.
So I've got them together
Wow.
to mentor fresh
New blood. Right.
graduates, from IIT who have initiated startups. So they don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that's how, you utilize your time and give back to society.
Any tips, feedback for me, and then we'll go to a very interesting segment.
For you, I think you're in the, our time has passed. It's now time for people like you to make a difference.
Coming back to rapid fire, so it's a rapid fire. So I mean, you can take your time, but and I'm sure you will do great. What's one piece of timeless advice you would give to young professional today?
Build relationships.
And you already have shared the playbook to build relationships. Amazing. If you could fund research in any area, what would it be?
It would be in improving batteries.
What's your take on EV as a segment?
I love my EV.
Because I've been reading that probably this is only 10-year phenomena. then I'm reading that probably this is the best thing happened to automobile and to mobility as a sector. What's your take on that? And I'm going deeper, but just out of my curiosity.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think there are some views which seem to suggest that uh, EVs may not be that good for the environment, but I believe that if you use clean energy
Oh.
to charge your EVs and not use thermal energy to charge your EVs,
Mm-hmm.
that's a better substitute to diesel,
Yeah,
petrol,
yeah, yeah,
and so on and
yeah.
so forth. So it also needs a little more backward integration with the sources of generating power.
Very interesting. That's a massive opportunity.
Yeah.
Couple of startups are doing it, but I don't know how they're doing it. Blue
Yeah.
Smart is doing it, and there are a few. Interesting. What's the most important quality a future leader should cultivate now?
Create a superior vision.
Go deeper.
And like I said, leaders shouldn't be micromanaging. They should be setting directions and aligning their teams to that direction.
What was your favorite subject in school which influenced your career? Computer science.
No, I didn't study computer science.
Wow.
My favorite subject in school was what, yeah? Physics.
There was no golf back then.
There was golf, but I
Achha.
picked up golf much later.
If you could have a superpower that would help you in board meetings, what would it be? The art of sleeping with eyes open.
That is a good one. That is a good one. What would it be? Replace PowerPoint by something else.
Oh. And what that be something? I'm sure if you have heard, if you have thought this, I'm sure you must have thought of some solution also.
Well, okay, let me put it this way. Replace busy PowerPoints by something else.
Make it
PowerPoint-
think simple.
Yeah.
If you had to choose a completely different career path, what would it be?
Different career path would be, I think I would be a pilot. I'm just going to my childhood first. I used to read these Biggles and Gimlet books, and I used to be fascinated by being a pilot.
And you're almost dressed like a pilot. You have few stars as well. Lovely. On that note, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
My
time
pleasure,
and being so
Saurabh.
candid, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
it was just natural. So thanks and keep supporting. Thank you.